lock lovers and dreamers. I know it has been quite some time since I posted my last video. I think the last one I posted was back in like April or May of last year. So happy New Year's, guys, and happy holidays. Trust me, I don't have a good excuse. It's just life. My last video, I think I mentioned that we moved from Houston to Dallas. So we had that quite a big transition last year, and then with some of the wedding planning, and I was studying for a certification for my job that took me like 3 or 4 months. I just, this is kind of taking a little bit of a back burner, but I'm back. And honestly, to honor the new year, I wanted to do a follow-up video to one of the videos that has the most views on my channel, and that is the 5 lock mistakes video. So I wanted to give you guys 5 more lock mistakes that I see that are commonly made, and this is just based on my own experience, things that I've heard. This is not an exhaustive list, not even close, but some of these pertain more so to our attitudes about locks, both our own and others. So, take it with a grain of salt. If it doesn't apply or if you don't agree, I mean, feel free to share your thoughts. I only check so many of these comments a day, so this is more so an FYI. Maybe it'll help someone that's either considering starting their lock journey or someone that's maybe in the throes of it and struggling with some of these items. Without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so the first lock mistake that I want to address that I see pretty much every person, I mean, even I was guilty of it. Person I know that has their locks has done this, I think. And that is loc envy. To clarify, when I say loc envy, I mean, I'm encompassing kind of everything when it comes to you comparing your locks to another person's. And I don't mean comparing in the sense of like, for educational purposes. Like, for example, when I was looking at starting my own locks, I watched a ton of videos. I looked at hundreds of pictures to try and figure out what size I wanted, to try and figure out, how I wanted to part them, because I did them myself, so I needed to do a ton of research to see how I wanted to even start them, given my limited knowledge about locks. So that's not what I mean when I'm saying comparing. I mean, I think that people do themselves a little bit of a disservice when they assume or project how their locks are going to look at any given stage in their lock journey to another person's, because there are so many people that I see, on social media that kind of latch on to, oh, this is my lock crush, I want my locks to look exactly like that, and then they're unhappy. They're unhappy throughout the entirety of their lock journey. They keep their locks, but they're upset because they don't look like so-and-so's, or they take them down. So really avoid that mistake. Kind of ask yourself, do I just like this person's locks, or am I, do you find yourself constantly comparing how your locks look to theirs, and what kind of effect is that having on you and your enthusiasm for your own locks and your love of your own locks? So if it's negative, I think that, you kind of are crossing over into the envy territory. If, you're pretty neutral, or you're still very much positive, maybe you're wanting to try the styles they're doing, but you're not necessarily kind of putting this blanket assumption that your locks are going to look anything like theirs. I think that's a little bit more healthy. And the second mistake that I see people making, being impatient, kind of a little bit on the nose, but if you're impatient with your lock journey, you kind of ruin anything positive about it, I think. And I say this only because I have a very unique friend that, after I locked my hair, she became very motivated to lock her hair also. I mean, this was like a little bit combination of the loc envy that I talked about earlier, but, she saw my locks and thought to herself, oh, well, she did it, so I'm gonna lock my hair too. That's fine. I'll be anybody's motivation. That's kind of the whole point of this channel. But she didn't start them like how I did. She started them, I think, just like with twisting. But I think like she maybe hit 2 months and was just over it, because her hair hadn't locked up yet. It wasn't as thick as she expected it to be at the 2-month mark. And just overall, she was just impatient with the entire experience. So she actually ended up taking them down. And then, a few months later, she wanted to lock her hair up again. So to me, I felt like that kind of just, you ruined it because you just didn't want to give it the time that it needs. and trust that your hair, you know, moves on its own timeline, and that, you know, it'll get the thing done, but you can't be impatient about it. You really have to just kind of take it slow and just let your hair kind of run the show a little bit. And then another thing too is people who are impatient with the look of their locks or how they're maturing, they tend to do things to their locks that make no sense simply because they think that it's going to speed up the process. Like, you know, some people say, oh, don't wash your hair. Not a good idea. Some people use tons of waxes and gels in their locks to get it to lock up faster. Again, not a good idea because build up. It can really kind of snowball into a worse situation in the long run if you're just impatient with the entire process and not giving it a chance to kind of come to fruition on its own. And the third Loc mistake that I have for you guys is protective styles. I am guilty of not using protective styles as often as I should. You'll notice that I actually have my locks kind of braided in threes. And this is the first time, well, not the first time I've braided them like this, but this is the first time that I've done it consciously as a protective style. It's colder in Dallas. I'm filming this video in January. So yeah, it's gotten colder, and I noticed that my hair was pretty dry. And, you know, I chalk it up to, oh, maybe I just gotta spray it with some more rose water, put some more oil in it. And while that is all fine and dandy, you know, neglecting the protective styles just because, oh, my hair's locked, so, you know, the lock itself is protective. That was the kind of mentality I had, and it's a little flawed. With our hair, black hair, you can never go wrong with a protective style, unless, of course, you have it in for too long or, you know, it's too tight, etc., etc. With locks, you gotta do protective styles too. You can't really, you know, that's not really off the table just because you're no longer loose and natural. So it could be something as simple as just, you know, braiding a couple of them together. You know, I made it look fancy by adding some, I actually don't know what those are called. Adding some jewelry or whatever in my locks. And you can do the same thing too. I mean, I know some people wear, like my mom, she just puts her hair in a scarf most of the time. I mean, her locks have gone so long, it's ridiculous. I think they're longer than mine, and I started hers after me. So she just wraps her hair up in a scarf. My little sister, I think she mostly just kind of keeps it like up in a bun or something. She covers it at night, of course. Yeah, check out some protective styles online. That's kind of what I did. Something that maybe you could do. Maybe some updos, braids, twists, you know, whatever. Just don't neglect those. All right, number 4 kind of goes a little hand in hand with number 1, which was Loc Envy. And this one is not doing your own research for your hair. I cannot stress this enough, okay? I know when I talk about lock mistakes, you know, I've tried to make it fairly obvious that this is from my own experience and my, you know, my locks unique to my hair. And I just share what I think should be kind of a general rule, you know, a guideline, not a, you know, this is the law and I have to do exactly this regardless of your hair's density, porosity, uniqueness, traits, whether it's colored, whether it's, you know, anything. Do your own research. It's like, to me, it's common sense. Some people really need to be told to do their own research for their own hair, and take into account how they know their hair reacts to certain products. A perfect example is, you know, something I did was, you know, I usually stick with Yanni the Lockologist as far as kind of my go-to guideline for what's good for my hair, because I've tried it and it works for my hair, okay? Trial and error, guys. Nothing wrong with it. If it doesn't work, let it go. Don't convince yourself that because so-and-so said it, that you have to do it or keep doing it or whatever. Keep trying different things until you find what works for your hair and your routine. You know, Yanni is, you know, team no conditioner. Damian Walters is another fairly well known YouTube, you know, lock guy that does people's locks and stuff like that, and he shares like his own philosophy on, you know, taking care of locks, and his clients look beautiful. Like, you know, what he does works for their hair. And he is team pro conditioner. So, you know, I was like, I have never used conditioner in my locks. Well, I did the one time when they were starter locks and never again after that. But I tried it. And honestly, my hair was so much drier. So much drier, so much more brittle than I thought it should be after adding conditioner. So I stopped. I did that for like a month or two and my hair just didn't feel right. I didn't like it, so I stopped. And now that I'm back to just rose water and my castor oil, tea tree oil, vitamin E oil, olive oils, my hair feels so much better. And I've incorporated protective styles. So, like, I'm just doing what works best for me based on trial and error. Everyone, do your own research. Please don't hold on to things just because someone told you that that was the right thing to do. Do what works for you and what feels good for you. Okay? We're all individuals, people. We gotta act like it. All right, and my fifth and final lock mistake. It hurts my feelings even saying it, guys. But coloring locks. I mean, I obviously am a perpetrator, all right? I have colored my locks using box dyes. I did henna once, but that was back when I was like a loose natural. I do rinses. I mean, I color my locks, and if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, you know, my fellow lock lovers, coloring your hair does nothing for your hair as far as health. It doesn't. Yeah, it's pretty, it's cute. There are tons of people that color their hair and their hair doesn't fall out. It's fine, it's healthy, whatever. This goes back to my fourth lock mistake. Understanding your own hair, okay? Not very many of you guys know this, but the reason that I went natural in the first place was because while my hair was fine with relaxers, it was not fine with relaxers plus color. My fell out. Like, it started just breaking off in this general vicinity, and I ended up getting my hair braided, you know, so that it would grow out a little bit more, and then I chopped off all my relaxed hair because I wanted to be able to color my hair. And only my natural hair would hold on to that color without breaking off. So I've done so many things to try and justify coloring my hair, and I'm at a point now where I'm looking at my ends and, you know, I think I'm done because the hair that's up here at the root is just so much stronger, so much more luscious than, you know, the ends of my locks where I've colored them. This is probably gonna break a lot of you guys' hearts because I know you guys care about coloring. It's like an individuality thing, you know, you wanna try different colors and you know, whatever. Black, you know, when your hair has been one color all of your life, it's a little boring. So I'm sharing this with you guys. Coloring your hair is cute, but it doesn't do your hair any favors. So it's a mistake. It is. Go for it, do it. You know, if you want to color your hair, go for it. Like I said, take it with a grain of salt, but your locks will thank you if you do not color your hair. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that some of the lock mistakes are something that you guys can kind of take away and apply to your own lock journey and just, you know, your hair's health in general. I also get a ton of comments of people sharing their own views on things like conditioners and oils and stuff like that, and it's always comforting to read you guys' comments, especially because you guys keep it so respectful, and see the different points of views and perspectives. I hope that my channel can kind of serve as that going forward and continue to be that kind of, you know, community feel for everyone. And also I'm gonna try and post a lot more often. Definitely not every 10 months, but you know, now we are in the year of wedding planning, so forgive me in advance if it takes me a while to get these videos out. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care.